Testing, testing. All right. Well, guys, I'm live here, 7 o'clock exactly. We got a potential ceasefire, I guess. What a turn! What a crazy turn of events. We were waiting for the response from Iran. They decided to go very light, and they told Qatar and they told Trump about their response. The U.S. evacuated the bases. They didn't even connect with any strikes. I don't think they all got intercepted by U.S. missile defense systems. That was earlier today. And now it's announced, according to Trump, that there will be a complete and total ceasefire approximately 6 hours from now when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their progress final missions for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. And he's calling it the 12-day war. And so, look, this is great, really. It's turned like crazy. I'll tell you what, it is a sauna in this room. It really is. It's 90 degrees right now. I can see the temperature on my screen. It's at the bottom. It's on the bar. It's cut off. You guys can't see it. It says 90 degrees, mostly sunny. It's not, how is it 90 degrees at 7 o'clock at night? Yeah, no, I'm very happy about this. I hope that it is able to last because we know about these Middle Eastern ceasefires. They tend to be paper thin. So let's hope it lasts. And there's a lot of questions. I mean, we've got questions about where is the uranium enrichment that Iran potentially moved out of Fordo? What's going to be happening to their nuclear program? People saying it's been completely destroyed. I mean, I'm sure they've got other facilities. So how do we foster this into, because like we're at the same stage to where we were with negotiations. So how do we move this along now to create some type of deal? There's still a lot of unknown, but obviously, I mean, we'll take this for sure. This is what this tells me, this ceasefire. People can still say, oh no, it's just Israel, they're lying, whatever. This tells me that Trump is committed to not having any type of significant conflict in the Middle East. 100%. There's a vid of U.S. troops watching the strikes. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that they were evacuated out of it, and then they cheered on when the missile defense systems kicked in and blew up all of the Iranian missiles. But Iran had an extremely weak response. They're so isolated. I'm guessing they know they don't have the support from Russia and China to really be overly ambitious against the United States, or at least against the U.S. bases. They want no part of the U.S. The question is what happens now in terms of negotiations. We were in a period for a while with Iran where there was diplomacy. It seemed like it was winning out. And then all of a sudden things changed, and now maybe we're headed back to that, but it's unstable. So we would love for there to be, some type of a ceasefire that sticks, and then an official end with some type of a deal, which Trump is going to want their nuclear program completely dismantled, obviously. I mean, you don't strike them and then go back on that. There's going to be zero enrichment for Iran. And the question is, what does it end up being? Do they agree to it? Yeah, I'll look at the Vance stuff. I saw Vance did an interview. That's another thing. You regret doubting Donald Trump? Yeah, no, I know. I think it's important with criticism and stuff, but this is what Trump does. He goes far enough, but not too far. He goes far enough to force action, whether it's through tariffs, whether it's through military action, but then he always reins it in. And so he immediately reins it in and brokers this ceasefire now. And this tells me Trump knows there's not going to be any type of serious Middle Eastern escalation to the point of a long-standing war or anything like that. But it does seem pretty abrupt. So we'll see. It seems like this kind of came out of nowhere. Israel has other plans. Hopefully Trump says, fuck off, we're not doing that. We're not interested in staying here. If the Iranians want a regime change, they're going to have to do it themselves. We're not being involved with that situation and trying to create something by destabilizing Iran. I think that's probably what Trump hopefully is telling Israel, but You can say you and other Republicans push him to push for this, so good on you. Hope it stays legit and not fake. What, you think you think this is not a real ceasefire? Has Israel or Iran said anything about this ceasefire? Now Ukraine ceasefire. Yeah, imagine we get a Russia-Ukraine ceasefire as well. Is Iran really going to go for this? Well, I would imagine if Trump is announcing it, then it's already been agreed to by Iran. Good cop, bad cop. What? Yeah, I mean that's the dynamic between Trump and Israel. Trump acts like the good cop, and then Israel comes in. But I mean, we'll see if this sticks. This ceasefire announcement. I mean, this is a step in the right direction, but it's pretty abrupt. There's a little bit of apprehension about this, but I hope it sticks. I do. Mean Gene, I appreciate it. With America, with MAGA, America wins. Trust in Trump, oil futures. I know that's another thing. That's a dead giveaway that there's not going to be escalation. Look at oil. Oil is down. I mean, it plummeted from $73 to like $64, $65. What is it at? $65 and a half, 65, 68. Yeah. Dems are already acting super mad. Yeah, no, I'm sure they're very angry that this happened. I mean, they were trying to say, "Oh, this is terrible escalation," and now if you look at it, I mean, what Trump has done is, if this actually sticks and this is real, and you deal that big of a blow to their nuclear program, they're saying they set it back by decades with no U.S. casualties. I mean, how can you really disagree with that? The only thing you can say is, well, it's appeasement to Israel, but still, I mean, they're an adversary to the United States and what we want in terms of our relationships with allies. So I think it's a win no matter what. You agree with Dave Smith on the Middle East, but he's been against this administration since they started appointing people last year. IDKY. It was a big deal that he criticized this action last couple of weeks. Nothing new. Yeah, well, the problem with Dave Smith is the reaction that Dave Smith had was basically the reaction you should have if Trump put boots on the ground. I would understand Dave Smith saying that if Trump deployed troops and said we're ready for a longer war and we have to do regime change, it's a must for the United States. If Trump said stuff like that, I would understand Dave Smith's reaction. I think Dave Smith is just a cautionary tale of being too reactionary to things that haven't even happened yet. Because look at what happened. Did we really enter a war? We struck them. We struck their critical infrastructure. We thought it was threatening us. And you can say, well, you know, whatever, it's for Israel. But the point is we told them, get your people out. There's no civilians in any of the things that we struck, any of the facilities. So Dave Smith just overreacted. And look, a lot of people overreact. You know, I tried to stay balanced on it for the most part. I did have some criticism of Trump, but I mean, listen, if Trump does stuff that I think is not great, I mean, but listen, at the end of the day, it also is important to understand the information that any one of us has is so minimal compared to Trump and how, like, there's just so many variables that we have no clue about. So even if I criticize, I'm probably not even criticizing the right thing because I just have such limited information compared to what U.S. intelligence has. Not to say I can't criticize. I mean, everyone should criticize, but just as a general thing, I was thinking about that. Just in terms of how much limited information. Because it's like, this ceasefire gets agreed to. Okay, what the hell? You know, it's like, we don't know what happens next. I mean, it feels like this is a very rash ceasefire that randomly comes up. And ceasefires always get broken. So look, I think this is a great thing. But there is some skepticism on this holding from me. But hopefully it does. Criticism is important. Stay vigilant. Love your coverage and your takes. We should support Trump, but hold him accountable and stay vigilant. Yeah, Gabriel, I agree 100%. And really, I was fair with Trump. A lot of people did jump off of the Trump stuff. And, you know, Trump's going to lose support. He's going to gain support. This is what happens. You're going to make decisions. So, I mean, it's all healthy. And so people are going to disagree on certain things. But the other thing is, you know, I think this was more of a multi-layered thing to where a lot of people are really upset with the Israel stuff. A lot of young people, a lot of people my age don't like the appeasement to Israel, and so they see this, and especially the way in which it was done, basically a repeat of 2003, not in terms of the wider scale war of boots on the ground, but the excuse to have military action against the Middle Eastern country because of, oh, they have, weapons of mass destruction, and it's all for Israel, because it's not like, I mean, there'd be no reason for these Middle Eastern countries to touch the United States. They would be ended in a millisecond. And also, it doesn't, even if they touched Israel, they'd be ended in a millisecond, because Israel has nukes and the United States is obviously a huge ally. So if they got touched, the U.S. would respond. So, I mean, look, it is important to criticize, and some people, they took it a bit far, but you understand, I guess, people criticize it. It's there's a lot of grifting that when it comes to being anti-Israel now, I will say that. We've got more. MB, thank you for the 99 cents. Peace through strength. Jose, thank you. I appreciate it. And this really is that, if this turns out to be like this. I mean, obviously it's a calculated thing, but if you're Trump, and the administration, they have calculations on, if we do X, if we do Y, if we do Z, how do we want to accomplish our goal with minimum U.S. casualties? And so, I mean, to me, this was done extremely well. Now, hopefully this holds and this is it. But this was done extremely well because of the way in which it was done. You just hit their infrastructure that you wanted destroyed, or not really, not their infrastructure, but their nuclear facilities, and it's done and dusted. They're going to respond. Obviously, the U.S. is going to calculate how they think Iran is going to respond. They said it would be similar to Soleimani. A lot of people said no, that it would be a much worse response. We saw their response to Israel. They sent hypersonic missiles into Tel Aviv. But that's even the fog of war there. You know how many people that are anti-Israel that said, oh, Israel got crushed by Iran? It's like, who knows? I mean, did they really? It's hard to really even tell. It's like fog of war. Yeah, Israel got hit with missiles, but it's like, how do you scale how exactly hard they got hit unless you are in Israel and you know exactly the percentage of buildings that got hit compared? It's like, Iranian leader just confirmed the ceasefire. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, there's no way Trump would tweet this out without agreements from Israel and Iran. William, thank you for the $2. Darth Pepe, how long until Bibi says Iran is close to a bomb? Well, right, and so that's another dynamic. It came out, and there's all these reports. It's like, there's just too many reports, because they all just contradict each other. But there's another report that came out like 2 days ago that I saw that said, well, with the strike, or I guess it was yesterday, with the strike, the U.S. strike of Fordo and the other plants, they're going to now accelerate the timeline on trying to get a nuclear bomb. So now what does Netanyahu do? Because obviously Israel still wants the regime change, and apparently Trump kind of does as well, which is why this whole thing is kind of strange in terms of the ceasefire and where this leads. But, yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be more fear-mongering. The other thing is people say their nuclear program has been completely destroyed. Well, J.D. Vance did say that they had other sites and they had enriched uranium, and that was something they would have to deal with. So, I mean, I don't know if it's been completely destroyed or not. I don't think it has. CNN said Iran said there was no ceasefire, but diplomats have been refusing comments from both Israel and Iran. Seems like CNN just hates Trump. Is CNN saying that? This was the yesterday updates. Trump announces ceasefire. Breaking news. This is lagging really bad. I think because it's loading video, hopefully. That's the only reason. Vice President deflects when asked if administration knows location of enriched uranium. Yeah, so this is like the next steps in terms of what are we going to do about the other enriched uranium that Iran has. Fordo was such a massive investment by Iran in terms of the cost, the time. It's a major hit that they lost that in terms of storing their enriched uranium. But, I'm sure they moved some of it. We're going to start getting reports on that. But I'll go through this. I don't know if this was an interview with Fox News, so I'll have to go through that and look at it. Your theory, Vance, Steve Bannon, Tucker convinced Trump to not go further with the attacks and go for peace. Peace in our time. Yeah, I mean that's a charitable way you could look at it. A lot of people are like trying to dunk on those people, saying, "Oh, they panicked and stuff." I mean, they're gonna have disagreements with Trump. That they obviously didn't want another Middle Eastern war, and it did look. It looked like we were headed that way for and maybe they had something to do with the turn. I mean, Trump had to have known there was a percentage of the base that was really against it. I mean, it was very loud, and it was. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know that when you're talking about Middle Eastern conflicts, if you're going to escalate them in the year 2025, there's going to be a lot of people in the United States considering we've got a very bad taste in our mouth on any of those foreign conflicts. We're not going to like it. And especially the way they were implementing it, the way they psyoped by saying, they can't have a nuclear bomb, they can't have a nuclear bomb, they can't have a nuclear bomb. Pushing Tulsi Gabbard aside, saying, no, she's wrong, they're developing. I mean, it was looking really bad. I'm not going to lie. It's just, it was what it was. And look, we don't know if this ceasefire will hold or not. I mean, I'm happy this is done, and I think Trump really wants diplomacy by forcing this. But you have to wonder, Israel, has still a lot to accomplish in their own thought. And really, I mean, where does this lead in terms of some type of peace within the region? I mean, it just seems like if they want regime change, and the United States to a lesser degree wants regime change as well, we're kind of sitting here and you're going to negotiate some type of a prolonged peace with Iran while you want regime change. It seems, it's just a weird dynamic. But yes, this is it right here. Gold is doing extremely well. William, I appreciate that donation. Feed the homeless, Mumblewick, I appreciate the donation. Mean Gene, I took a lot of crap and abuse early from leftists and moderates. MAGA can celebrate a bit today. Yeah, I mean, I understand. People are not going to like it, So it's understandable. People got angry and stuff, but in my position, I'm not going to. Yeah, we got this person. We got some spam. When does Israel get a new prime minister? That's a good question. I don't know. Trump said he liked Netanyahu, funny enough. Did you see he said that a few days ago? Iran doesn't have any other play than ceasefire. Right, and that's the thing, because, we didn't know the dynamic of, their proxies apparently are very weak, and then China and Russia. But I would imagine they probably haven't gotten much support from either China or Russia. If you're China or Russia, why would you give a ton of support to Iran and alienate yourself more against the U.S. by doing so? Is it really worth it? Imagine not trusting the plan. Trump is the man. Black pillars. BTFO. Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is yeah, dude, that person was just luckily we have slow mode on, otherwise that would have been a lot of spam. Trump won the war, now back to the No Kings protests. Cue the Mexican flags. Yeah, hopefully we're done with that shit, dude. My patience for the whole shit with the immigrants and fucking flags from other countries is just, I don't even want to see it, man. I really don't. All right, I think I caught up on everything. I caught up to the chat. All right, let me look up the JD Vance stuff.
Has just put out.
And this administration, Brett, it happens quite a bit, actually, but we knew this was coming. The draft, it was interesting. I just read the draft about 2 minutes before we went on the air. It was a little bit different from what the president had showed me a couple of hours ago. But again, I knew that he was working the phones as I was on the way over here. So I knew exactly what we were going to do. And look, I love that about this presidency and this administration is he's always working. He doesn't say, the vice president's going to do an interview, so I'm going to stop doing anything. He says, we're going to do the American people's business. The vice president knows what I'm trying to accomplish. And if I get it done, great, because we're going to talk about it and celebrate it, because it is a thing to celebrate. I can't emphasize this enough, Brett. We have destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. 0 Americans have died. That's an amazing, amazing thing. Americans, whether Democrats or Republicans, we should be celebrating that.
So Vance does say they destroyed their nuclear program completely. So with zero casualties, I mean, it is an amazing thing if that's true. Chris Daily Dono, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the $20. It's far from over. Well, yeah, that's my fear. I mean, these ceasefires, especially Middle Eastern ceasefires, are paper thin. But I mean, to me, it's a step in the right direction, hopefully.
Joining us this evening, Vice President J.D. Vance. Mr. Vice President, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Just seconds ago, the President went to Truth Social and typed this. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire.
If you were Iran and the U.S. president was floating ideas of regime change, you would be more flexible about a deal. I know, but they're in a terrible position either way, whether you agree to a deal or not. But yeah, that's more of a pressure tactic by Trump, if that's what he wanted to do. I mean, you obviously from an American sense, from a democracy sense, you would want a regime change, sure. But it's like, it's one of those things. How much should America really care about the happenings in Iran? Obviously, a lot of Zionists do, but you don't care if Iran has nukes. Well, I mean, I think ideally we would like them to not have any nukes for sure. But I mean, are we throwing our arms up and are we scared every day because Pakistan and North Korea have nukes? I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but there's going to be adversaries that have nukes. I mean, it's just the way technology is now. More countries are going to get their hands on them. We would prefer they don't spread, but I mean, it's kind of just like how technological evolution happens and it spreads from country to country. But I mean, you want as few adversaries as possible. Like if this is what stops Iran from having or sets back their nuclear program, whether or not I agree with the theory that they were developing and they were a week away, I mean, with 0 U.S. casualties, this is a massive win. Now that's if this is over, right? It's just a ceasefire. There's got to be a lot that needs to be worked out. Vance has said, well, they destroyed their entire nuclear program with 0 casualties. That's what he said. Now, there's other talks about some uranium that they still have that we don't know where it is. And so it's a little bit more complicated, but for the most part, I mean, those are the facilities that they hit. I mean, and this is done in a way that is very clean. They said it was coming. And then in retaliation, you had Iran tell the United States where they were hitting. And so that's the political theater there. And Iran wanted to do something in response. Trump knew it. They calculated. They probably had really good intel that they knew Iran couldn't do much. Their proxies were very weak. And China and Russia were not going to help to any degree that would threaten the U.S. in terms of what they wanted to accomplish. That's likely what happened, I would imagine. And so, I mean, to me, there's a lot of unknowns about this. Like, what is Iran going to agree to? A total surrender here? I mean, like, that's what Trump said he wanted. It is a ceasefire. It's not a peace deal, so it's not, the end exactly. But it's a step closer. And because there was so much escalation and we were thinking it was gonna spill over, I think a lot of people are very happy now. Minsk 1 and 2 were ceasefires, hopeful optimism. Oh, no, absolutely. The ceasefires are paper thin. I think the only thing you can say, and you could even say this is a strategic ceasefire, which is it's a more kind of sinister way to look at it. Like they're doing it to regroup. And I mean, that's the whole thing with like Russia, Ukraine, and why Russia doesn't want a ceasefire, because they think Ukraine's just going to be able to regroup while they've been performing well and moving Russia. So why would they want to do a ceasefire just for the war to continue? So, I mean, a ceasefire is not the end, but it's a step in the right direction. So hopefully it's able to be resolved somehow. The Panicans lose again. Chance, I appreciate it, man. Ceasefires are easier when countries are far apart. Yeah, right, when it's not like a border issue. I mean, but even the ceasefire between Pakistan and India, although that's been a conflict that's been on and off for a while, maybe it's a little bit different. That's held. You're surprised Elon hasn't said anything about this stuff lately. Yeah, I think Elon took a big hit for being involved in politics. I mean, he really can't retract it. It's not like you can put the toothpaste back in the tube, but I don't know. I think he's been more quiet mainly because he took a big hit. I mean, the thing is when you're someone like Elon and you're the face of Tesla and SpaceX, and especially Tesla, because consumers are going to be buying it, U.S. citizens are going to be buying it, and you enter the political arena the way he did, you're going to alienate people. And so I would imagine it probably hurt Tesla a bit. And so maybe he's taking a step back. But I mean, Musk had his big blow up, and now I guess, he's calming down a bit. All right, I think I caught up to everything. BB just confirmed the ceasefire. Right, so the ceasefire has been confirmed by both Iran and Israel now. We have a ceasefire, according to Netanyahu. Tomorrow I will strike this target, be careful. I will retaliate with a strike at your base, don't forget to evacuate. Reuters, senior Iranian official announces Iran has accepted the ceasefire proposal, just as Trump announced. Yeah, Iran was backed into a corner, it looks like. $1,000 dono, dude. That's never gonna happen. You should just give me the $1,000 dono. Anyways, just give me the $1,000 dono if I reach 1,000,000 subs. Do a drinking stream where you take a shot for $100, $200 super chat. I don't need to. I'm not doing that, man. Come on. Be on the lookout for news that Ayatollah is dead within the next 48 hours. Well, remember that Israel had him in their sights and they didn't do it because Trump told them not to, because at that point they were still trying to work out some negotiations. That's at least what was said, that Mossad could have assassinated him, but they didn't because Trump said, "Don't do it right now. We're still talking." Israel is definitely not sad about this. They would never have agreed to a ceasefire if they didn't feel like they accomplished everything they wanted, minus regime change, which U.S. wouldn't allow. Yeah, I mean, at least if that is true. Trump doesn't allow regime change. You got to put your foot down at something. Yeah, and I mean, obviously they didn't accomplish everything they wanted to because they definitely wanted regime change. Because Netanyahu had said it several times that they wanted that, but they don't really have the they don't really have the authority to do it. $100 super chat, Mean Gene. I appreciate it, dude. Seriously, that's a big one. That might be my. I don't remember the last time I got, maybe a month ago, $100 super chat. Imagine Kamala Harris was president today. Gives me chills. That's a whale super chat. Does anyone know about the status of their enriched uranium? Did they destroy all of it?
Attack. It was 14 missiles that they telegraphed ahead of time. We dropped 14 bunker buster bombs. As the president told me earlier, our missiles, our bombs were a little bit bigger than their bombs. Our bombs actually accomplished the goal of eliminating their nuclear program. But look, we're happy, again, to restart the peace process as the president just did today.
Was the message delivered directly to the U.S. or through an emissary?
The message is always attack.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Yeah, we're very happy about this happening, this ceasefire. You were really hoping to see regime change because you just don't want to be down this road in 10 years. Well, they're probably going to take... I mean, Khamenei is already 86, but he, one of his sons might just take over. So yeah, that regime may stay in. I don't know. I mean, or they might support him. They might support if the citizens want some type of overthrow, but I mean, that's always very, very complicated. Vance smiling because he's back in the 28 race. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're the VP, it's not that Vance is powerless, but obviously Trump's going to be the sole decision maker, so you kind of have to just agree with whatever he does because it's a support thing. It's a support role. Nobel Peace Prize worthy if ceasefire holds. Would love seeing the lib tears. But yeah, imagine also Trump mediates a... This is the knockout blow to the Nobel Peace Prize. This holds, and then Trump mediates a ceasefire and then a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. That would be that you would have to give him it at that point. I mean, if he does that, and then obviously he doesn't start anything. Iran denies ceasefire? No, I mean, I just saw it said their diplomats agree to it. Lindsey Graham is crying. Well, I would imagine he's probably very angry because, if this is them not getting the regime change. But they should be happy. I mean, they kind of got their way. They got the majority of their nuclear program obliterated. The situation hasn't changed at all. Trump and the Ayatollah always wanted a deal. It's still Israel that doesn't want it. Nothing will change. Well, I mean, Israel did agree to the ceasefire. But I know, obviously, Israel wants regime change. So... Stocks rocketing. Yeah, well, I mean, it's bullish news. Yeah, I can't believe they even have to rule on this. 6-3 ruled in favor of Trump on deporting illegal aliens to third world countries like Sudan. But why do they even have to rule on that? But I'm glad they ruled properly. Imagine it's a liberal Supreme Court. They rule against that. Only thing was enriched facility destroyed. Iran has 60% uranium to resume anytime. Yeah, but I mean, that facility was very important for them. I mean, that's a lot. Those facilities that they struck were a lot of their nuclear infrastructure. So, I mean, that's going to be, you would imagine, a pretty big setback. Now, I'm sure they've got other facilities as well. I guess we'll just have to see what U.S. intelligence says and what the reports say on how they're set up in terms of this. I mean, this is the worry. The worry is that some type of ceasefire happens. This is already a flimsy ceasefire. It's because of just the way it's been agreed to. Like, just randomly after all of this escalation, there's an immediate ceasefire. So the question is, does Netanyahu now start fear-mongering that Well, because Iran was struck, they're more likely to really kickstart their nuclear program, and so maybe that's the next thing. So it's like this never-ending saga. So we'll see. People like Lindsey Graham don't care about nukes. They want a liberal Iran pushing woke ideology under the Shah. The nukes are a pretext. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of these people want regime change. They want this so-called democracy to Iran. Trump said, God bless Iran. Are you going to freak out that Trump is an Irani asset? Well, I mean, we're not allies with Iran. It's a bit different. But I do remember when he said, God bless Israel. Bunch of so-called MAGA jumped ship so fast they didn't trust the art of the deal. Trump was playing 4D chess while everyone else. Well, I mean, I think it's important to question Trump. I don't think you should just automatically go along with anything Trump says. But I think it's also you have to understand we have such little, knowledge in terms of intelligence compared to what Trump has and other people have. So, I mean, I can understand why people would be skeptical, but Israel will have to wait for the next U.S. president. Yeah, I mean, well, we'll see what happens with this ceasefire. Hopefully, Trump told him no, regime change is not happening. How long does this affect Trump's approval rating? I don't know. The approval stuff is kind of it's a crapshoot. I mean, listen, approval to me is based on the economy. If you have a good economy, his approval will go up. Did Trump say anything either retracting or doubling down on the regime change? No, the Trump has not. I don't think made any type of appearance to where he'd be. The media would have to get to him and ask him to elaborate on it, whether if it's on the plane or in the Oval Office. He hasn't done any type of appearance today, so that's where that would be asked. Bomb. Here's a breaking report. Bomb threat near the White House. Several buildings evacuated, and that's one of my mods saying that. Tucker didn't really need to lean into Cruz so hard. He just looked bad, and yeah, Cruz looked bad too. Yeah, I thought Cruz looked terrible, honestly, in that. I mean, Cruz is like, oh, it's biblical. We have to support them. It just sounds like you're a politician, dude. Can you give us fundamental reasons? Do U.S. bases in the Middle East have a golden dome? Well, they've got missile defense systems. Sleeper cells here. I mean, who knows, dude? Hopefully nothing happens. Everyone's talking about the 4th of July, something happening just because it's the 4th, but a win is not a cleanup. A win is not cleaning up the milk you just spilled. That's a side quest that should not have happened. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. I hear what you're saying. But you have to also agree there was a lot of fear-mongering that this was going to be something, a lot worse. Iran and Israel both confirmed that there's a ceasefire. Yeah, that is legit. What are you drinking? I'm drinking lemonade. Where's oil currently? It's very low. I think it's like down to 60. Actually, it's right here. $65. What did it open today? 78. Don't forget Obama dropped 26K bombs in 2016. Right. Well, it's all perspective. I mean, every president to a degree is gonna have these situations. You know, a lot of it's how the media hysteria and how they choose to cover it. How come Iran hasn't confirmed it? They have confirmed it. But both Iran and Israel have confirmed it. Biggest win in all of this is that U.S. has finally reestablished deterrence after years of weakness under Biden. Policy of don't is now policy of fuck around, find out. Yeah, I mean, this is a major win. I mean, you're talking about zero casualties and potentially their nuclear program destroyed or set back for decades. That's what this is looking like to me. And really, Iran can't do a damn thing about it. They don't have the strength. They don't have the support. The ceasefire won't last. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, you know, depends. We owe Trump an apology to get that man a Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, oh, that was from 12 hours ago. This is what Vance said. Real concern is if it's 60% enriched uranium, it becomes 90%. What did he say that in the context of? With what infrastructure would they achieve this? Well, do they have other bases? All right. I'm sure they do have hidden facilities. It is a concern. It is a concern. And that's probably what Netanyahu will use, too, to fearmonger. Bomb threat just happened. Yeah, I saw that in D.C. Netanyahu's entire career has been set up for regime change in Iran. Would be very surprised if Trump is able to resist Netanyahu, but would be good. Yeah, I mean, I think there has to be some skepticism on how real this is, especially after what Trump said yesterday. You know, obviously Israel's agreeing to this for one reason or another. Now, because this is really not what, I guess to a degree, it's what they want. I mean, it's a big victory for them if this fear is gone. The problem is if they still have the 60% enrichment, you know, what's to say they don't really push for the 90% now? And but I mean, they would get blown off the map, you know, if they actually got to the nuclear capable weapon. So I don't really see how Iran wins in any of these situations. If anything, I think it would just be more fear mongering by Netanyahu that they're going to go for 90% now after these strikes. And can't believe how quickly Trump resolved this. Yeah, I know. It's pretty. I was figuring it would be a much longer situation than this, because why would Iran agree to? But I mean, it is just a ceasefire. Hopefully, it holds. Libertarians like Massey and Paul and Tucker think retreating to mainland USA is a strength. Well, I do think domestic concerns are the most important for sure. Especially when you do foreign policy and then it affects domestic issue, it becomes a domestic issue. Like, you know, if this would have been if this would have spiraled, it would have affected oil pretty significantly. That's when it gets kind of very annoying, and also the money that's involved in these wars. Iran has not received a ceasefire proposal. Well, I don't know, man. I saw reports that it was agreed to by their diplomats. I mean, I saw that when I was streaming, like probably 20 minutes ago. The ceasefire is going to take place, I think, in probably 4 hours now or so. The bunker busters did some major damage. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think they're probably destroyed wherever those hit. Yeah, probably those things, they go into the ground and they detonate after about 100, 200 feet into the ground. Yeah, there was this imminent threat of a strike on, and obviously they tried striking it weakly. I mean, very weakly. It was the definition of political theater. Basically, every missile was intercepted except for one, which was like veered off course, and they didn't need to intercept it because the trajectory of it was so off. There's no point in wasting a defense missile. What do people mean by Biden's weakness? Wasn't he war hawkish with Ukraine? Well, he was the Democrats in the last administration, they were very weak in the Middle East either way, which I can kind of understand because their party is so split. But they were very weak when it came to Middle Eastern policy. But when it came to Ukraine, I mean, certainly the Democrats heavily funded the Ukraine. If Kamala was president, how do you think we would have gone down personally? You think even with Obama, he would order the B-2s, but it's highly doubtful Harris would? Well, dude, the thing is, like, I really don't care about Harris. I really don't. Like, she lost. I don't care. But Harris she wouldn't be the one deciding it. With the Democrats, they move like a blob. You think Biden is deciding anything? You think Harris would be deciding anything? She gets told, this is what's going to happen. We've got option A, option B. This is why option B is better. And then she signs off on option B. Like, there's no actual, like, oh, she's going to, I really don't believe that. And I don't believe there's any way Biden was mentally capable of handling any of those type of decisions. There's no way he was. They already had the Democrats had a system set up. So this whole stuff like, Kamala would have done this. I don't think she would have done anything. They would probably explain to her 3 different options. They tell her this is the best option, and then she'd sign off on it. Or they would convince her. It's like, I mean, someone like Kamala was just, she shouldn't have even been VP. She was VP because she was a minority female. So, I mean, in terms of what she would do, it's what the Democratic administration would do, really. It's not about a singular person there. When the strikes happened, it was fair enough to spin saying it, to say that spinning it was cope. And now the ceasefire happens, saying it's not a win is pure cope too. Yeah, I mean, this is what people would say, well, it should have never happened in the first place, right? That's people would say. So I can understand, both sides of it. But listen, the fundamentally, the only way Trump would risk anything in terms of terrible approval rating or, the midterms and all this stuff is if there was like a prolonged conflict. If there's not a prolonged conflict, this is not classified as a war or anything to where they say, oh, Trump said no new wars. And I see these videos, it's like, oh, all these missiles going, and it's like, this obviously it's not a war. I mean, the U.S. did one strike, there's 0 U.S. casualties, very little money spent in comparison to a normal war, and I mean, for the United States, it was like 2 days, a day. So the only problem Trump would have is if it was prolonged and the U.S. was involved. Not even talking about boots on the ground, but if there were boots on the ground, it'd be next level bad. But the fact that you're avoiding that, this is something that can be swung by the administration as long as this holds as a huge win because of the 0 casualties, because of really limited resources used to potentially either set back their nuclear program or destroy it. I'm just concerned that they still have the enriched uranium, and if they've just got a few, facilities, the problem is Iran has to know they'd just be blown off the face of the map if they actually developed something. But the worry is that if Israel wants the regime change, which they obviously do, the fearmongering from Israel is just going to be, well, now because they got struck, they're going to use this ceasefire as an avenue to take the 60% enrichment or whatever it is right now and bring it up to 90%. Because they're not going to stop. They want the regime change. And so the question is, what does Trump do about that? That's what I would look for. No ceasefire without regime change. Well, that's what we got. Yeah, we got it right here. So there is a real bomb, or was that fake? Well, I think it was. I think the idea that they had a nuke was fake. I don't think they have a nuke now. I think that was to get them get the nuclear sites to be hit. Reports of explosions right now in Iraq. Is that true? There's no way there's going to be a permanent ceasefire without regime change. Right? I mean, I would imagine Israel would break it then, you're saying? The Iranian crown prince is making his move. Yeah, I did see he still had some support with some of the militants in Iran. So that'll be an interesting. We'll see what happens there, but that would be the regime change. Yeah, that's old news. Iran has not received any ceasefire proposal. That has to be. I mean, if it's 2 hours ago, that's old news. Mike Johnson comes out, praises Trump. Yeah, hopefully we can off ramp this. I agree. Change needs to be handled within. Right, that's how it would happen. It would have to be handled in Iran and Iran only. You heard something that they are worried about Iran setting up underwater mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, I saw some ships turned away from the strait, and people were like, "Here it is, it's happening." I just think people have to understand for Iran, it's got to be a calculated risk, and the calculations say it's not worth fucking with that strait because you would disturb so much unless they targeted specific ships. I guess maybe they could make it work, but even that, I mean, there's U.S. naval presence, so is it really worth it? I just think they probably know it's not worth it. You're impacting the global supply, the global markets. You're going to make a lot more enemies you do something like that. Federal judge orders government to overturn ceasefire as it's unconstitutional. It wouldn't surprise me. They're probably tweeting about it right now. Can you think of one successful regime change? Well, the successful regime changes normally are outside of the Middle East, but there are examples, and we'll see what happens with Syria. But I mean, whether there's a regime change or not, we cannot invest resources in trying to make it happen. I think that's the current message. Nazi Germany. I mean, yeah, but they went to East and West German. That was not a good situation when they split the country, and the East was controlled by Soviets. They're calling it the 12-day war between Israel and Iran. It would impact their daddy China. They wouldn't dare. Well, yeah, they would have to contact China about doing it beforehand if they try to do something like that. And Japan Empire falling. Yeah, well, also the people of Japan. I mean, those are smart people. They can rebuild it. You think there might have been a coup and the regime has been disposed from within? That's the only thing that would explain the sudden about the face of optimism by Trump. I mean, I am pretty surprised that this happened this quickly, especially considering what Trump said yesterday. You have to wonder what's really going on. Iran had to be super weak for them to do this. Yeah, and also they're obviously very threatened. They feel very threatened about a regime change by the U.S. and Israel combining to try and force a regime change. I'm sure they wanted to avoid that. You believe Sunday Iran went to the negotiating table and strike simply to appease their own populace? Yeah, that seems very likely. But I mean, would they be appeased by what they? I mean, they didn't hit anything, but do you think MTG will apologize? What was she against it? I mean, I don't know if you apologize. You just state your opinion, and I don't know if she criticize Trump. They went 0 for 14. Yeah, they sent 14 because the United States sent 14 of their own missiles. Ours are a little bit more powerful than theirs. But yeah, then they sent 14 back, and they went 0 for 14. How does this affect gas prices, or does it at all? I don't think it will affect much of gas at all. I mean, there was a bit of a spike. I think gas, there's a lag to how it gets refilled. So there might be a little bit of a spike, and then it'll probably go back down within the next month and a half, I would say, with gas. I mean, we'll see what happens, but if it's already back down to $64, $65, realistically, what was, it's really back to where we had it almost. I mean, maybe a little bit higher in some places because of this spike. How long did this spike even last? Like a week and a half? So I don't think there'll be that too. It's not going to be anything to where it's going to affect. You're not going to see a trickle down effect in terms of it hurting inflation because it wasn't up high enough. It wasn't up high enough for long enough. It's just not. Yeah, people are talking about this primary. The socialist Mondani against Cuomo. Cuomo back. They've been going back and forth in terms of this. Did Elon just give up on politics? No, I don't think so. I think he's probably taking a break. He had issues with he's had issues with people online and just people say he does drugs and he's acts very sporadically, so he probably just taking a break. The whole timeline is confusing. Yeah, no, I agree. It is confusing, but I am happy that this because it was looking like we were headed in a bad direction. But this is this is basically as good as it could have went. You wanted the as quick as possible this to be over. What's the update on tariffs? I think I haven't heard of anything on tariffs recently in terms of any type of deals happening. But there's supposedly a deadline in mid-July, so what is it, July 10th? I mean, they're going to have to make deals with these countries. I don't think they're going to change much. They're probably going to keep 10% tariffs on a lot of these countries. What are your predictions for what happens next? I mean, I think there's a chance Israel could break the ceasefire for sure. I just don't know where the U.S. is at in terms of the where the current enriched uranium is within Iran, because they're saying they destroyed everything. I don't know, what does that mean? There's no way they destroyed everything. But Iran is going to use that, I'm guessing, as some type of negotiating leverage. And then what does the United States do with Iran in terms of whatever they have left, their remnants of their nuclear facilities? And Trump said yesterday he wanted regime change. The worry is that now there's the fear-mongering that, well, because Iran was struck and during the ceasefire period, they're going to try and get to 90% enrichment. And so it'll just be more fear-mongering about that. Does this also have direct ramifications on Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan? Russia, Ukraine, I don't think so, man. This situation, I don't think so. I mean, obviously there's some allies involved, like with Russia and Iran, but China, Taiwan, I still think China's years away from taking Taiwan. Yenis, thank you for the 20 euros. What happened with the LA riot news? I don't know, man. I think it's over. You know how it works with news cycles. I think it calmed down. At a certain point, it just calms down. Do you ever go to Sheets? I mean, I go to Sheets a lot, or no, not a lot, but I go to Sheets sometimes to get gas and. Yeah, that dude. He sometimes does have stories. Yeah, I don't care about this.
I just want to know how I'm supposed to do my job when we bombed Iran and we're just supposed to go around about. We're just supposed to get these boxes out without being worried. I just need somebody to explain to me how I'm supposed to not crash out. I just
Now, someone should ask her if do you know if Iran has weaponry that could reach the United States or not? Israel is hitting Iran right now. Well, you know that ceasefire is 6 hours from now. So technically, that's not a violation of it. I'm just saying. That ceasefire goes into effect, and there's a 6 hour de-escalation period, I believe, is what Trump said. Don't let this distract you from the fact that John Jones ducked Tom Aspinall fight. Didn't John Jones retire? I saw. I thought he was already retired, honestly. If ceasefire hold, is Trump a mastermind for this? Yeah, no, I'm surprised that Trump was able to work it out this quickly. This is what we wanted, something done really quickly. So if it holds, I mean, this is amazing. It's just great because 0 U.S. casualties. You destroyed huge nuclear infrastructure, and there's really little that in terms of recourse that Iran can do at this point. Crash out is overused. Yeah, it's like one of those Gen Z or Gen Z words, and those words tend to get overused a lot. Crash out was the newest one. I remember, the crash out stuff, but now everyone uses it. It got overused. DOJ on high alert for Iranian nationals living illegally in the U.S. Oh boy. Imagine something happens there. I mean, that's what we're waiting for. Well, we're not waiting for it, but that would potentially be a break in a ceasefire if something happened domestically and Iran is blamed. I mean, hopefully this holds. Cooked, yeah. You're cooked, bro. That was a crazy crash out. He's cooked. They told Trump they were launching missiles, right? Yeah, they did. They contacted Trump, or they contacted the U.S. It's all theater. They are still attacking each other. That's because the ceasefire doesn't go into effect for another like 4 hours. How do I say the comedians that preach about politics are a bit annoying without sounding like that guy on Joe Rogan a couple months ago? Well, no, that's the new grift for comedians. Think about it. Rogan's been talking about this first stuff for a while because his podcast is a little bit different. It was never really a comedy podcast. But listen, it's all of them now. Andrew Schultz, it's all politics. Theo Vaughn, it's all politics now. Tim Dillon, it's all politics. It's all politics with these people. And I think that's probably because of Trump and just, the cultural effect of him. And all anyone wants to talk about is that. Ceasefire is only between Israel and Iran, not USA. Yeah, but the US has no reason to respond now after that weak response by Iran. That's what Trump said earlier today. He said they're not going to retaliate now that Iran had that weak response. Is Dave Smith's? Yeah, I think Dave Smith is still. He's not going to be able to walk that back. Dave Smith just got overzealous. He reacted too quickly. Like if Trump, if there was a prolonged situation in the Middle East, Dave Smith doing that, I guess it's, because he's very anti-Middle Eastern conflicts. But I think he overreacted. But I mean, how do you walk that back? ceasefire will be very popular among independents. Yeah, no, I mean, in general, people are gonna, outside of like Zionists that wanted regime change, people are gonna like this. The fact that they got this over with this quickly, if it holds. I mean, let's hope it does. There's a lot of unknowns right now in terms of what happens with Iran and then their nuclear program and what they're currently at, and what does Trump want in terms of some type of long-lasting peace. Yeah, listen, any attack that happens, guys, remember the ceasefire goes into effect like 4 hours from now. Trump announced it 2 hours ago. He said 6 hours from now there's going to be the ceasefire goes into effect. I think that's what it is. So if there's attacks, that doesn't mean there's an immediate breaking of the ceasefire. Huh. B2 diplomacy is now the new gunboat diplomacy. Come on, how badass is America's military? Well, how about the fact that the stealth bombers left Iran's airspace before they realized they had struck? I mean, that's basically what it is, apparently. I mean, because Trump was the first to report on it.
I'm happy to have you here, believe me. So on Thursday, the White House said that Trump was going to make a decision on Iran within the next 2 weeks. That's what he said. Remember that? Okay. He was going to give diplomatic negotiations more time to play out. And then, less than 48 hours later, this attack was underway. So what changed? And what was he actually trying to accomplish here?
I mean, look, the 2 weeks measure was clearly a bit of a head fake. I mean, not entirely. I wouldn't say the decision was finally made. All indications are he didn't actually make the decision to so-called pull the trigger until Saturday, and then the attack commenced. But obviously, all the wheels were already in motion. In fact, the wheels were in motion a full week beforehand. Shortly after the Israelis made their attack the previous Friday, the president saw it as a sweeping success. I mean, he was very excited about it. I spoke to him that morning, and he said, this is excellent. He was no longer saying the Americans weren't involved. He was taking credit for American weaponry being part of it. He was clearly ready to go, but there was a last-minute push for some kind of a diplomatic resolution. He really wanted that moment. I mean, I think he thought he could have a Kim Jong-un moment with the supreme leader of Iran and have a big deal right before the bombs were going to drop. The Iranians were not engaging at all, and he made the decision.
You could have a Kim Jong-un. These people are just... Yeah, there's that bomb threat. This is the end of the war. It's a great and wonderful thing for Israel and the world. The next question for Trump is Israel. You got to ask him. Israel obviously wants regime change. With this ceasefire, they're not getting it. What do you think about that? MTG is just annoying, always doing things for attention. There's a number of them within Congress that are really annoying, man. But I agree with you 100%. I mean, people keep saying they have no nuclear ability. I don't think that's true. I really don't. I mean, yes, we've really hurt their nuclear program, but I mean, that's what Vance said. Vance said they have their nuclear program's been destroyed. What? So they have no potential to, I mean, I guess if the facilities have been destroyed. Half of those ladies have zero business being in politics. The Republican chick sold for The View. Oh yeah, no, that show's impossible because that Republican chick just gets run over in any debate. They just bully her, and so, but that's what that show is. And then they try and do this geopolitical stuff, and it seems like they're out of their league. So they just kind of, they cede it to this dude, and then the dude's like, he wanted a Kim Jong-un moment. What are you talking about, dude? Like, yeah, the administration was aware of the Iran attacks on the military base in Qatar. Any hope this turns into best case scenario, even without regime change, i.e., Iran joins Abraham Accords and ME flourishes? To me, I think the best case, the best case is less U.S. involvement in the Middle East. So yeah, it's normalizing relationships for Israel with some of these other countries, so we don't have to constantly be there. But I mean, for Iran, dude, what does Iran do, really? If their nuclear program has been completely destroyed, that's devastating for them. Because if anything, it's a deterrent. You can say you're at 60% enrichment. It's a deterrent from other countries. It's a bargaining chip. Trump has already showed that he cucks for Israel. Sorry, can't get over that. Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, this is definitely more beneficial. What he did was more beneficial for Israel than the United States, for sure. But it's still good when an adversary in a country that hates you has nuclear weapons. That's not ideal. So it's still good for the United States. Trump can't hide that he's somewhat a slave to Israel with this. No way people behind the scenes didn't. Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you. I understand, man. But it's you know, I think Trump's gonna get out of this if this is true and this ceasefire holds. I think it's a good thing, and Trump knew there couldn't be a longer conflict. But if Israel wanted regime change and Trump basically said no, I mean. Regime change is needed to free the great people of Iran. Well, then they need to do it themselves. Trump lied to us. He said he was engaging in negotiations while giving the green light to Israel to attack Iran. We were right to call him out and right to not trust him. Well, no, Trump was engaging in fair negotiations for a long period with Iran. And then what happened right at the end is Trump had to lie because they wanted to attack Iran when Iran's defenses were down. And so that was what happened. But Trump was actually engaged. He wanted to do some type of deal, I think. He did. And I thought it was going to happen. And then some things happened. It was really Israel that sabotaged it. But you could say, well, Trump was involved and maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I know it was reported that he was involved, but what's the difference between edging and gooning? Well, no, that's what it is. When you edge it, that's called a gooning session. Trump had negotiations for 2 months. I know. No, I hear you. Yeah, we did negotiate with them for 2 months. That's what I'm saying. And then people just say, well, he cuts to Israel. Well, Trump wanted to negotiate something with Iran, and so he was telling Netanyahu to fuck off, and I mean that happened. That's why there was a potential strike back in March that Trump vetoed, an Israeli-U.S. joint strike that Trump vetoed, and now Trump is saying we're not going to do the regime change. I honestly don't know what Trump is saying. We need to get Trump's actual thoughts on the regime change. Maybe it's an Iran issue. Trump trolling the base, his best move. I don't know. I mean, destroying their nuclear facilities, it's an important thing. I don't know if that's trolling. This was a masterclass by Trump if this holds. Yeah, zero casualties. Their nuclear program destroyed, according to Vance. So that's really the two most important things. And also, I mean, really limited investment into doing it. It didn't cost a ton of money. It wasn't prolonged. Simply an Israel-Iran war. Israel can go ask Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, other Gulf states to fight. Well, they would never agree to that. Only the U.S. would. But I hear you. I mean, yeah, but I don't think Trump is interested in that. It's going to have to be from within. It's going to have to be from within Iran. Trump can say he didn't start the war. He also deleted their nuclear facilities. He took an opportunity. Yeah, I mean, he did it and he minimized any type of damages to the U.S. What will the liberal spin be? What on this? I mean, I think Trump is, in terms of the liberal spin is, you could argue that, honestly, it's a flimsy ceasefire and it might easily be broken. I mean, I don't know how you can't say, unless you take it from being an anti-Israel approach, because technically this is appeasement to Israel, what Trump is doing. But, like, if you just fundamentally look at it, zero casualties, very limited investment, and massive nuclear plants obliterated against a country that hates us. How do you really spin that in a negative way, outside of saying, oh, he's a cuck for Israel? How do you spin that? Good point Brett just brought up to JD, though, is what's to stop Iran from just rebuilding uranium? They're very resourceful. The problem is I believe they removed a lot of their enriched uranium from those sites anyways. So, if they're at 60% enriched uranium, even not having the plants, there's going to be the problem is Netanyahu then fearmongering that they're going to get to 90% now, because obviously they're going to be very scared after being struck by the U.S. and Iran. So they might try and race to get a nuclear weapon and say, oh, it's because we need it as a deterrent. We need to have a nuclear weapon. And so it could create an even bigger situation. I mean, we just don't know what Iran is going to do. Where is their uranium right now? Their enriched uranium. Thoughts on what Russia-China might war game plan? What do you mean Russia-China? In what context? Russia-China as axis against the United States? I think Russia and China really were never really committed to Iran. There's not a lot of gain from significant support of Iran against the United States and Israel. There's just not. If you're talking about their support or lack thereof support of Iran, I mean, obviously there had to have been some type of lack of support because Iran had a very weak response to the United States. They basically said, we can't go against you, even after you destroyed our nuclear facilities. We can't do anything against you guys. We have to pretend, to act like our regime is strong. I mean, there probably wasn't a ton of support there if that was the response. Can you explain to the children in this chat, cleaning up your milk you spilled is not a W, it's par for the course? Well, no, you have to reason, you have to understand, you can be anti-Trump or whatever. What Trump did, whether or not you think Iran was all that close to creating a nuclear weapon, I mean, there's a reason Fordo exists. It's not for medical enrichment purposes, So to destroy a facility like that, you didn't start it. You got 0 U.S. casualties, and look, we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe this isn't over, but I'm just saying, you didn't start the war. 0 U.S. casualties, very limited investment, very limited time in which you were even involved in it, and you took out a country that hates you, their most important nuclear facilities. How is that not spun as a win? And you could say, like someone else said in chat, Trump, it was an opportunity, if anything. China needs Iran's oil. Yeah, I mean, so they're kind of, their hands are tied about the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, what are you gonna? They can't even shut it down, first of all, but they start harassing ships. It's a bad global situation. They're gonna turn more people against them. They can't do it. That's probably what happened. I mean, they've threatened to close it like 15 times, even though it's within their radius. They just can't do it. But dude, how is that cope? I mean, you're honestly coping if you think that. So you think? Listen. You can say, well, we shouldn't have a good relationship with Israel. But the point is that Iran hates us. Whether you think, well, it's because of our involvement with Israel. The point is they hate us, and I said Trump shouldn't have been involved with it, but this is actually a win, and I'm not being biased. Trump solved Iran as quickly and as decisively as he dissolved ISIS. This is crazy if it holds. I mean, because Iran's been completely neutered now. But I mean, the question lies now in terms of regime change. And people are right. The fact that these countries are not right next to each other could lend credence to the ceasefire being strong. But with Israel, you never know. You can't deny this isn't a win if the ceasefire holds. Yeah, it depends what happens from here for sure. It'll be very interesting. If the ceasefire holds, Trump pulled a massive clutch play. Well, I mean, I also think it might be a calculation that Iran really has no choice but to agree to this. Huh. Tucker Carlson did tweet out, thank God. Yeah, people are not going to be happy with Tucker. Yeah, I mean, the thing with Tucker is, like, I don't know, man. Like, you do have to question things. These Trump people are just ruthless. Agree or regime change. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Israel launch more assassinations. What? I don't think that makes sense. But the ceasefire hasn't started yet, so they didn't violate it. People really deep on MAGA act like people can't disagree on things. I know there's no nuance, but I mean it's like it's really strange. I mean, it is with some of these people to where you cannot disagree with Trump at all, and if you do, I mean, you know. And the thing is I've always maintained my support for Trump, but there has to be nuance. But I do also understand, there's things behind the scenes that we don't know about, but. Lost respect for Carlson. Should have talked to Trump behind closed doors before going public first without having all the facts. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is none of us really have all the facts. Given the history of U.S. involvement in the Middle East, you could probably cut Tucker, Dave Smith, etc. some slack. No, that's the thing is I really don't criticize. I don't do a victory lap against Tucker. I mean, I had some critiques of Trump as well. Less. I was still supportive, but yeah, I don't think this should be like, oh, in your face and all this. I mean, people are going to criticize Trump for things. It is what it is. But I mean, I understand, it's a multi-level thing in terms of, well, maybe you should wait. You don't really know the situation. You don't know what's going on. You don't know the full dynamics. Because who really thought a ceasefire would come this quickly? It's just like, imagine if MAGA just went along with it. It's possible this could have been a lot worse. Anyone with a victory lap doesn't realize the public. Yeah, I mean, the base had to have pressured Trump to a degree. I don't know how much, but Trump had to have known. I mean, the media was asking Trump about the fact that some of the base wasn't going along with it, and he seemed very angry about it. So, I mean, he had to have known to a degree that people were against. I mean, in general, his entire movement, like the entire beckoning in of MAGA was like the death of neocons. So you're going to go and start a Middle Eastern war. It's not even about having to be told. I mean, you should just know that that's not, people are not going to support that. Only Trump could have pulled this off because Putin, who appreciates Trump's position on Ukraine, called the Iranian. Oh, wait, that message got retracted. Tucker didn't even go at Trump that hard, neither did MTG. Yeah, I don't think they turned on him or anything like that. Cutter helped with the ceasefire. Wow, Pump Fund must have gotten unbanned. I remember Pump Fund got banned. Dave Smith turned on him, but he also had, yeah, but I don't think Dave Smith can go back from that. You can't really walk that back. I mean, I get maybe Dave Smith could say, well, the ceasefire won't hold, but it's like, you can't really walk back that. Yeah, Dave Smith is trying to do some fucking moral philosophy bullshit. Just come on, man. Admit you kind of had a meltdown. And I agree. I think you should criticize Trump. But I mean, he went out and turned on Trump and said he was done with Trump and that he would never vote again. It's like, come on, dude. The theatrics, you need to wait at least. Israel-Iran ceasefire now officially in effect. I thought there was a delay. Aren't you happy? Yeah, I'm happy that this ceasefire worked out for sure. Assuming Iran sticks with the ceasefire, you doubt it. This was an extremely tactful and decisive victory for Trump. Yeah, I mean the hope is that they will. But I mean, will either Israel or Iran stick to it? Iran wanted a peace deal before they were attacked. Well, I mean, there was obviously a big difference in terms of them wanting to have enrichment and Trump saying no, you can't have any. So I don't know how that would have been resolved, but it could have been resolved without Israel attacking. You think Israel will break the ceasefire? How long do you think the ceasefire lasts before Israel breaks it? After the stream, look at your email. It's about the funniest moments comp. The funniest moments on my stream compilation. Dude, no matter what, I can't escape people saying I'm coping. How would I be coping? The thing is I was coping on, last Tuesday, last Wednesday, last Thursday, last Friday, last Saturday. But now the administration negotiates a ceasefire, and I'm still coping. Look, I never said the ceasefire would last, but this is good news that we got this ceasefire. That's what I'm going to say. The ceasefire may last, it might last like 2 weeks. I mean, why would Iran break it? They've got no choice. Israel is bombing Tehran. That's because it's not in place yet. Remember, I think the ceasefire goes into place like a certain amount of hours, Trump said. Did it go into place yet? Officially? Wasn't there like a de-escalation in it? Did you see the Florida detention center news? No, I didn't. Missouri bombed Iran. Yeah, then they just returned back to Missouri and they landed on Sunday afternoon. I saw that. The B-2s. It's pretty amazing. Philip, thank you for the Comment, your YouTube channel is one of the best for showcasing different points of view. You welcome comments from all sides of the issue. I don't know. That's, sarcasm. But I mean, no, we do have people that hate Trump. I mean, seriously. But yeah, there are a lot of Republicans here. If the Iranian response was staged, what is the likelihood the B-2s were staged as well? You can't stage destroying a nuclear facility that's underground that took Iran years to assemble. Like, staged in what way? I mean, obviously the Iranians had to have known that that Fordow and all the other ones, they were at serious risk. So it wasn't like it was a complete surprise to them. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do to prepare for something like that, for strikes like that. I mean, your nuclear infrastructure has been destroyed, whether they moved shit or not. That significantly hurts their capacity for nuclear weaponization. The U.S. tried to negotiate for 2 months. Iran wasn't negotiating in good faith. Maybe they needed to kick up the ass. Hopefully ceasefire holds. Yeah, I mean, I would say, what do you mean negotiating in good faith? How do you know they weren't negotiating in good faith? I would have to know exactly what the negotiation was to really know. I mean, if they were negotiating trying to get 3% enrichment, I think that's a good faith. If they wanted, significant enrichment, then obviously not. I don't know what they wanted exactly, but Trump wanted 0 enrichment. So Iran, from their perspective, would say Trump is not negotiating in good faith. I mean, at the end of the day, it depends your viewpoint. But the other thing is that's important to understand. You remember when Obama did the nuclear deal back in 2017 or 2015? That deal took 20 months to do. Trump gave them 2 months to negotiate this one. So there's a bit of a difference there. I mean, negotiating a deal over 20 months versus 2 months, there is a difference in terms of the time. I mean, at a certain point, you reach a crossroads to where, maybe there's no deal that can be reached, but ceasefire will last years, if not permanent. Market. Yeah, I don't see how Iran would break it. I mean, they're begging for trouble if they broke the ceasefire. But Israel, I could see breaking it because they want regime change. Did you see Mark Carney's speech today? No, I didn't. Did Mark Carney actually speak about what? it's like some EU socialist summit. It's an EU socialist summit. Oh man, he's such a lapdog. Why do we allow Israel to have nukes? Because Israel has significant influence in our politics. Biden's Afghan withdrawal looks even worse after Trump's India-Pakistan ceasefire operation. That's another one, India-Pakistan. Imagine this ceasefire holds, India-Pakistan holds. The operation that destroyed a lot of their nuclear facilities. And then we get the cornucopia. Russia-Ukraine ceasefire. Russia-Ukraine ceasefire. Israel, Iran ceasefire. India-Pakistan ceasefire. We destroy the nuclear facilities of Iran with 0 U.S. casualties, and it took 2 days. Think about it, because that was Monday, that was Saturday, and then the ceasefire is on Monday. 2 days from us destroying their facilities. They didn't even touch anything. We intercepted all of their missiles. But I mean, you have to wonder, does this actually hold? Remember when we were worrying about oil prices? Yeah, I mean, this is great. I mean, it's not going to affect the economy at all, at least from what I'm seeing, unless the the ceasefire gets broken. But they can't even close this strait. I mean, if they're getting to a prolonged conflict, maybe there would be a problem. There'd be a problem, I think, but they can't even close the strait properly, and it would be a negative thing for them. Mhm. Europe's definition of globalism is so Eurocentric. If the EU looked like a confederacy, they'd be more pro-Europe than Trump would be pro-America. Yeah, well, also, we're looking at different things because they're all individual nations, and the United States has been one nation forever. So so eventually, at a certain point, there tends to be more, especially with liberalism, there tends to be more, and we're seeing a lot of it with like guiltiness, to where we have to give other countries things, and America first is racist. But there's it makes a resurgence. It goes in, it goes out, it comes in, it comes out. After a certain point. I mean, with the United States, a lot of these people woke up. I really think there still has to be some type of thing to where we understand that. Look, when you look at the demographic shift, because people really don't know about the demographic shift. I feel like if people knew about that, they would be a lot more hardcore. Because the demographic shift in America since 1960 has been just insane relative to our population size. Insane. There's no other country that has anything like it. I mean, it's considering our population size. To see the volatility of it. You're just going to start believing the best outcome in every scenario. You're done doubting Trump. He's the president, and he's also a sweet old man. Yeah, I remember that. He's just a sweet old man. Well, yeah, I mean, Trump definitely proved that if this holds, I mean, this is a huge operation, a huge undertaking, and a very positive results. Let's see. I mean, we would like to hear Trump speak about this. I don't know if there's any appearances tonight, or doesn't look like it. Vance is the only one that talks for that I've seen. Really, this dude's got to start trying to farm clout by freaking posting an old photo. Gulf of America. Imagine that he's still got the Gulf of America up. No, this was from a while ago. It's still a sauna in this. This room is a sauna. It's getting maybe a slightly cold. Wait, what is it? It's 86 degrees now. So what did it go from 91 to 86 in an hour? I guess because it the nighttime it gets colder. The coldest time of day is 5 a.m. I know that. How are the Dems reacting to it? I don't know. They're probably gonna say the ceasefire won't hold. That's my guess on what they're going to say. I mean, how do you really cope with this if you're the Democrats? A lot of this stuff with, like, geopolitical, it seems like the Dems really don't attack, they really don't know what to do in terms of attacking Trump. They were going with the whole no new wars angle, but with the ceasefire, I would imagine they just cope and say it's not going to hold. Intimidating Greenland with the B-2s. Thanks for the donation. Yeah, I mean, Greenland is, Trump needs to go get Greenland next. He's on a roll. Still doesn't change the fact that Israel is up to no good. I mean, Israel breaking the ceasefire would be the least surprising thing ever, honestly, with this point. But maybe it'll hold. We don't know. Yeah, this type of stuff. It's okay to say you were wrong. It's not okay to act like you knew this was coming while attacking Trump day after day. Be honest. This type of like gatekeeping is. I mean, I guess I do understand where he's coming from, but it's like there's this weird thing to where, you know, they don't let you just say anything about Trump, and like you immediately have to take it back. It's like, I mean, dude, it's a ceasefire. Just report the news. Like what is this? It's like we're in 7th grade. You need like 35-year-old men to apologize to you. And I'm not even one that really went against Trump. If they break, it doesn't mean we have to be involved. Yeah, but you know what it is with Israel. We're going to be involved. Well, JD's and Lettleman, thank you for the donation. You know how this works. You know about sports and sports fans. It's the same mechanic. Our guy, loyalty, etc. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I guess. But with sports, it seems a bit. Because the fans of sports teams will go against their own players. What is on Polymark you want me to check? Yeah, they're not going to close this. There's no way. 4% chance. For Doe to be destroyed? I mean, what? I don't even define destroyed. You know, apparently Israel hit Fordo after the United States. As a Trump supporter, Charlie Kirk is too much of a Trump shill. Can't get myself to like him. The thing is, it's hard to explain, but I think with Kirk, there are some good takes about marriage and stuff. I've definitely seen. He's right wing. I mean, but he has to be at this point really infused with the whole Trump stuff. I mean, I don't know if he's getting money, to push it. I mean, obviously, he believes it, but at a certain point, if your career is made off of that, there's going to be an incentive to continue with it. Hate all the team guy behavior that surrounds Trump now. Can't disagree with him on anything without getting lambasted by stands, but that's politics. Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you 100%, 100%. I think it's like, I don't understand why people there can't be disagreements. But I also do agree to a degree that if Trump, Trump obviously knows more information. So if you go out and you just criticize him for anything, and there's some people that do, like, they grift off of like, oh, I'm right wing, but I hate Trump. And so I understand that as well. But just like that tweet where it's like, it's just like a humiliation thing. Like, oh, you need to admit that you were wrong. And it's like he's gloating about the fact that there's a ceasefire. It's just like, dude, you're like fucking 35. Still no action on Mexican cartels. Well, I mean, it's one thing at a time. Yeah, the Mexican cartels are going to be annoying because their entire government is influenced by the cartels, so the Mexican government is not going to help the U.S. in terms of intelligence on it. That's always a tough situation, the Mexican cartels, because you risk a power vacuum, but it's something that would be so good if you got it done and it worked, but it's like, ugh. Yeah, DG2 will overtake the channel. That'll never happen. That's impossible. Y'all were freaking out, not gonna lie. No, I mean, I don't think the main Trump supporters on here were freaking out. There were people that came in the chat that obviously were not really Trump supporters. That people are gonna say what they're gonna say. When things happen, it's social media. People pretty much whenever a military action that's an escalation, they're gonna say it's World War III. That's just par for the course. Planned trusters are like a cult. They act like Trump didn't do Operation Warp Speed, not fire Fauci, etc. Yeah, well, I mean, there's obviously been some mistakes by Trump, but even just like the after effect of it, where it's like, oh, you didn't trust him 100%, you're in trouble. Like, dude, you're like fucking 40 years old. Grow up. I mean, what are you talking about? People are gonna have disagreements on certain military action. This is what happens within administrations. I don't know what to tell you. But the thing is there also are people that obviously say anything Trump does is bad. That consider themselves Republican, or they say, the common thing with Trump now is that, he's owned by Israel and stuff like that. That's why I wanted the nuclear deal to happen. He could have shut up a lot of those people if we got a nuclear deal done. He could have shut up a lot of them. That would have been awesome. Unfortunately, we went the opposite direction. But at least there's a ceasefire. Those same people would say that Trump was weak if he didn't do it. No, not those people. Weak if he didn't help Iran? No. Or help Israel, I mean. No, they would probably be very happy. I mean, they would shut up if Trump said, I'm not helping Israel and I'm doing some type of nuclear deal with Iran. Your anxiety has been through the roof. Well, you shouldn't let geopolitical events get to you like that. You doubted Trump on this based on the context of the situation, but you think it was justified. We can question him even if we support him. Right. I mean, that's, I don't understand. I don't understand why people wouldn't be able to question him. I mean, I think some people, you take it too far when you do the Dave Smith crash out. I shouldn't have said that word. I should say a different word than crash out, but you take it too far when you go with that. And then obviously, there's some other people that just are waiting for Trump to do something that they don't like and they join in with the Democrats, and Trump could save a baby from a burning building and the media would spin it to make him look evil. Yeah, well, I mean, that's just the media. They hate Trump, obviously. I mean, that's just the Democrat-Republican, difference in terms of Republicans are going to hate, anything a Democrat does. Democrats are going to hate anything a Republican does. But I do think with Trump, it is different in terms of how much the Democrats hate him. I mean, I've never seen hate. The hate they have for Trump is it's so out of control. And obviously, Trump's ran 3 times at this point. This is his second term. It's been a lot of Trump. Iran says no ceasefire. I mean, it was already agreed to. Where are you getting that information from? Iranian foreign minister, there is no agreement on any ceasefire or cessation of military operations. However, provided that Israeli regime stops its illegal aggression against the Iranian people no later than 4 a.m. Tehran time, we have no so it has been agreed upon. They're trying to save face. They're telling them you have to stop. This was the agreed upon time on when they had to stop anyways. I'll tell you what, anything you read out of Iran, it's 99% chance it's wrong or it's inaccurate or it's not presented properly in the context. Like, it's just every single thing. We agreed to it and are trying not to seem weak. That's exactly what it is. It's another thing that they did earlier with the strikes, where they warned the U.S. that they were coming. Let me warn you, the strikes are coming, and then strike. They didn't strike anything. They all got intercepted. RT News says Trump was pressured by Israelis to give a ceasefire because anti-Semitism was growing. You don't make decisions like that based off of that's not how those decisions are made. Which do you prefer, making content about 9/11, geopolitics in general, or sports stadiums? It's tough. I mean, the 9/11 videos take longer to make. I guess it just depends. Those are the three main areas. I'm gonna come up with a channel update video here soon. The first channel update video in 2 years for me, and talk about maybe my future content. I guess it depends on if there's news that I like in domestic stuff, geopolitical stuff, whatever it is. I mean, definitely the election was fun to cover, very easy to cover. Definitely a view haven for sure, but just very easy. Do you think there's lots of conspiracies of 9/11, Austin? I appreciate the donation. Of course, there's lots of conspiracies. A mass event like that where almost 3,000 citizens die, there's going to be tons of conspiracies around it. A lot of them are just blatantly false, but there's some that are legitimate or could be proven to be legitimate. They're like unknown. March Madness is always fun too. Yeah, it's a real niche thing, March Madness. It's really only, it's obviously 1 month, but if you talked about the fifth plane, Flight 20, yeah, that was a recent story. Did you see that? That's why somebody asked me to make a video on that probably like a month ago. So that was one of my recent 9/11 videos, was the fifth plane, which is really odd in terms of how it was potentially covered up with the confiscation of the box cutters. Really strange. There's I think 2 different documentaries on it, but there was one that was a recent documentary on the fifth plane, and then that's why someone wanted me to make a video on it. There was like a TMZ documentary or some shit back in 2023, and then another one. Uyangale. Dude, I don't know how to say it. You just make it up something. Can you do an alternate timeline video where Trump wins in 2020? I think I'm gonna be doing a how Israel acquired nuclear weapons. That might be the next one. That's a little bit different outside of the normal. And then I think I might follow that up with how North Korea got nuclear weapons. So I mean, those might be it. I also want to do a video on, if Germany won World War II, Germania, things like that. Those are kind of things I'm thinking about doing. Those are a bit longer videos and they take more time and stuff, but longer in terms of like the effort rather than just doing one. I mean, most of these videos, I'm just sitting here fucking talking, honestly, because that's just what ends up happening. Nancy Mace smash or pass. I mean, remember the photo she said she had a photo of her when she was nude and you could barely even see anything. Like it was her in her corner on the security or whatever. I don't even remember what that was. What does that mean? You'll do constructions? Oh, you mean compilations? Check your email later. Made the comp. I'll have to upload it to my second channel. No. There's a ceasefire. This is them trying to save face, tax stronger. Because they're getting bombed to hell still by Israel. But Israel's apparently going to stop when the ceasefire goes into place. I mean, obviously, Trump talked to Israel about the ceasefire, and they're okay with it. What is your vertical? Well, it's not. I mean, it's not great. I mean, it's impossible to say. That's not something. That's not something I really look at. Do you like gingerbread? If you do, seems like friendly fire. No cannibalism. No cannibalism. It's can't do it. God bless El Trumpo. IFO, thank you. $2 Canadian. You know, the Canadian dollar is really weak. That's about $1.13 USD. You're joking. Please give you tips on how to be smooth with the ladies. No tips from me. No tips from me. How many children is ideal? Well, now they're telling you to push out as many as possible. They'll say like 5 or 6. They'll like 2, maybe 3. I think it depends how well off you are financially. A lot of the financial burden of children is pretty significant now. But I know most people have 2. What do you expect when we have Carney? Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? The Canadian dollar is getting destroyed. Yeah, I mean, this seems like a pretty. I don't know. I don't really look at other YouTube chats, but I would say this is a pretty normal YouTube chat. Four kids to catch up on replacement rates. Yeah, well, they say as many as possible because of that. Good luck getting modern women to have kids. Yeah, it depends. Depends which one you get. Any new updates on the trade deals, Typhoon? Thank you. No, there's no updates. We're gonna get back to it. I think if this situation calms down, at least for the time being, they're probably gonna those deals they run out. They run out. The Liberation Day extended 10% deals run out on the 9th or the 10th of next month. So reports of elimination of very high-ranking figure in Iran. Really? Right before the ceasefire, maybe? Sean, the whale. What's up, Sean? The whale enters. R.I.P. Alatola. Hope Trump pushes for Alberta 51st state eventually. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it depends if the referendum goes through and you guys get over 50%. I think Trump would definitely see something there. You have to have the local support, though. Mad Frog, I appreciate it. We will never know if MAGA freaking out about a new war had an effect on Trump's decision to end it here. He's surrounded by neocons that want regime change like they want in Russia. Yeah, but did you hear that report earlier today? This is a crazy one. Trump was encouraged to perform the strikes on Iran because he was watching Fox News. And Fox News was portraying the Israeli strikes on Iran as extremely positive. So they said Trump was then, because of, watching Fox News and how encouraging, obviously Fox News loves Israel, and how encouraging it was, I was like, there's no way that's true. Trump does love Fox News. You don't think MAGA had any effect on his decision at all? Yeah, I mean, it isn't. It's abrupt. It's a abrupt change, though. It is abrupt, considering he's. Yesterday he talked about regime change. Then today he does a ceasefire. I mean, we'll see. Whatever happened to Trump's stances on the Panama Canal? Trump, I believe, still has the same stance. Remember, they got the Chinese company out of there, and I don't know if Trump really wants to. I don't know if Trump ever wanted to take it over, but it's just the zone that we would want, not Panama the country, the zone. But we don't really need it. I would just want it by proxy, just control it. I mean, it's only $3 or $4 billion per year in toll revenue, anyways. The canal is. And Panama has expanded it pretty significantly. Like 7 or 8 years ago, they did an expansion because we built it, and that's why people say it should be ours. But technically, they did expand it pretty significantly. Change Agent, thank you for the $50. I appreciate that. Your content and analysis for the 2024 election night was amazing and inspiring. We follow you now because of that watermark. Looking forward to similar creativity. That might be an AI. I mean, I appreciate the comment. Saying modern women is weak aura. Yeah, it's like admitting defeat. Because you're just bitching about them. The Ayatollah, is that actually a rumor? That Khamenei was killed? The ceasefire is official, but it doesn't go into effect until, I guess 4 a.m., so maybe an hour from now. Ceasefire might be a false flag. Well, there could be a false flag that happens during the ceasefire that could kickstart up a war again. That'd be the problem. China rethinking invasion now. You better bet your ass. Invasion of Taiwan. Yeah, I mean that would be a little different type of a war than what this was, but I think people underestimate Taiwan in terms of how long they could last against China. Israel took a massive L, no regime change, missing uranium. Other countries will still give Iran more weapons. Iran still has control of Canal. Iran took an L, but Israel took a bigger L. I wonder how beat up Tel Aviv is, but I mean I don't know about them still having capability for uranium. It also depends what Trump decides to do with Iran from here in terms of them possibly still having that uranium and what he wants to do with it in terms of some type of deal. What's your thought on how Alberta would look on a map aesthetically? It would be bad, yeah. You put Alberta on it, but that's why if it became a territory, you really don't have to include it, But it would look bad. That's why we were talking about taking all of Western Canada because it would look better. It would look better on a map. There's some really nice play. I would like to take Canada. Those upper territories. It would be cool to live in like one of those cities, and you could go, and it would be like 40 degrees in the summer. That would be nice, honestly. Apparently, those cities are very expensive. Those remote cities in northern Canada. If Alberta becomes independent, joins U.S., it's inevitable that Canada will fail because the country would be split in half. Well, I mean, I think long-term stability would be bad. I don't know if they would fail right away. I mean, they're propped up by the United States. Alberta is extremely important in terms of producing resources, and they obviously are a huge net positive in terms of their resource relative to what they take in terms of that equalization act that they have. They basically give up a fuck ton of their money because of the amount of resources their province has. They're forced to give it up and subsidize the other provinces because they've got a bunch of the bigger cities are going to have people on welfare and it needs to be funded. So Alberta ends up funding it to a degree. Some people saying Iran no more ceasefire. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I believe the ceasefire's in place. People out of Iran constantly lie. All the information out of Iran is it's very, very iffy. IFO, thank you for that. Take everything except Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, and you have a super conservative majority. As for Canada collapsing, it's Carney's goal. Yeah, I'm guessing Carney himself, that entire situation in terms of him being elected, I mean, they installed him. They knew that Trudeau had no chance, and they installed him, and it ended up working. He somehow won. But I mean, for Canada, the problem is what a lot of people say is, their conservatives are really lukewarm conservatives. In an American sense, they'd be more independents. Certain places, I'm sure there are legitimate conservatives in Canada. Alberta's the most conservative province. That's kind of why we want it. And that's the only reason why Alberta would decide to leave, because of how liberal the country has gotten. Iran basically said it's a lie. There's no ceasefire until 4 a.m. Right. That was the agreement. They said it was kind of a weird agreement, but they were giving him, I would imagine, time to de-escalate. So there wasn't an immediate ceasefire, but it was a ceasefire within 6 hours when Trump said that. And whenever he said that, that was like 3 hours ago or whenever. Carney was a puppet to appeal to the boomers. Yeah, you guys have a huge boomer problem with how liberal they are. It is insane. It's interesting how the demographics shift, but boomers won Carney that election. Yeah, what was this?
Yesterday, somebody discovered that Robotaxi, the safety observer in the front, has a cheat button, and I think I might have the same button. When they were riding up here, they were sitting here, and this button, we're about to find out what it does, because they were apparently doing this to be able to do something special. So let's find out what it does.
It's like boomer comedy. Iran must be trying to seem like they won in their eyes. Yeah, that's all it is. It's all posturing. It's all, you know, you don't want to say it because it's overused, but it's coping. Yeah, so this is happening tomorrow. People are talking about this like crazy. Zoran Mandani, the socialist against Cuomo, who was previously the governor. Mandani's like been a citizen for 8 years. He does campaign ads in other languages. He wants the whole rent freezes. He wants city-owned grocery stores. I mean, it's all the communism stuff you hear about. So we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, if Mandani wins, you could argue it's, I mean, because this is a primary. It's not the actual election. I think is in November. That's like a boomer. Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad. Just say you're communist at that point. Why hide it? Well, with a lot of these people on the left, this is kind of what it is. Many of the socialists won't openly say they're like pure socialists. They'll say they're like democratic or whatever, like Bernie Sanders types. Well, I think Bernie admits it, but I think Bernie's more of a socialist. But then the communists say, oh, we're hardcore socialists. Because socialism is like a baby version of communism. It's like a gateway. So if you're going to come out and openly say in a capitalist society you're a socialist, you're probably a communist. Or you at least have heavy communist tendencies. Because normally you wouldn't really want to... It's like they try and massage it. Like if you're a communist, you call yourself a socialist. If you're really a socialist, you say, well, I like some certain socialist policies, but I'm not actually a socialist. You know how it is. How effective do you think Mondani will be for New York? To me, I think it's a great example of just the failures of globalism, the failures of immigration. I think this will be a great example of. Mondani said he wants to defund the police. Well, he's walked it back now, but You know, I'd love to see one of these very liberal people defund the police and just let it be a hellscape. This is what you guys want. You think the police are racist against minorities. You don't want them to be arrested for committing crimes. Let's just see how well your city does. I mean, you want to talk about third world. What's your opinion on Hassan Piker? Yeah, I mean, I don't really watch him, honestly. I know he's like, he considers himself a socialist, and he's anti-Israel, you know. So it doesn't. It's one of those things to where it's hard to take him. It's hard to take somebody that, if you're like a hardcore socialist, seriously. If you got like a net worth of 5 million, like, I understand you're in a capitalist system, but I don't know. They did that and they got it bad, and now they're undoing it. Yeah, well, they put in Eric Adams. You know, you would think NYC wouldn't be interested in someone like Mondani if they go with Eric Adams, who was considered a liberal, but he was considered more of a hard ass on crime because it got really bad there. But now it looks like they're going backwards if they go with this. How do you feel about Destiny? I haven't seen much of Destiny stuff in a while. Is he still on? I haven't seen many of his clips. I don't know if I just got a different timeline now. But yeah, Destiny tries to play. From what I know, Destiny is he's like a pure. He's like a pure liberal. So he tries to adapt like certain, like, oh, we can't be completely lawless and we can be a little based and racist, but he's still a very hardcore leftist. BO1 or BO2, did you ever play COD Ghosts? No, I never played any of those modes. You know, those extra modes that were like the zombies version of non-Treyarch games? I never played that. But I like BO1 better. Yeah, well, he said the U.S. deserved 9/11. I mean, but it's just like such a third grade talking point. Like, dude, we can talk about our involvement in the Middle East. It doesn't mean 3,000 citizens should die, man. Come on. No way he's that high over Cuomo. Well, I mean, this is changing like crazy, to be fair. You really can't rely on this if it's this close. 73% chance Israel-Iran conflict ends by next week. I mean, didn't it already end? As long as a ceasefire holds, I guess that would be considered an end for a period. Was there a coup in Iran? Do people think there was a coup that happened and that's why Trump's doing this? I mean, we would have heard about it. Will Trump get the Nobel Peace Prize? 10% chance. If he really creates a, fosters in a peace deal with Russia Ukraine, maybe. Decent chance there's a new regime in Iran. This military sucked. Yeah, I just don't know if that was really what Trump wanted. Why would there be an immediate ceasefire? I mean, there's got to be other stuff going on behind the scenes. Bad Frog, I appreciate it. You see the clip where Mondani was the only candidate who didn't say his first trip would be to Israel. It's the mayor of New York visiting a foreign... Yeah, I saw that. I mean, that's just... But it doesn't surprise me, you know, because of the Jewish population in New York City. But yeah. And they all, like, heavily simped for Israel, too. I saw that clip, yeah. Do you think Trump will be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize for this? I mean, I don't think so, honestly. The people that would nominate him, they don't really like him. Maybe if he did a bunch of other stuff as well. Governors and mayors often visit foreign countries. Most people don't know that states often have deals and trades with their own, of course, oversight by... Yeah, but if you look at the clip, it was like the way that they were talking about it. It was really not how you should be talking about foreign countries. WWE has an event in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, I mean, I saw somebody asked me about that. They said WWE had an event there, and asked me if the ceasefire was going to go through or not. Yeah, so their military operations continue until the last minute. So 4 a.m. So what time is it? Is it 3:33 a.m. there? Man, what a quick war, if that's what it ends up being. It's 5:33. Well, it should be if it's 5:04, then it's past the time. I don't know why they keep talking about continuing fighting. It's past the time if it's 5. So the ceasefire should be in effect right now then. The ceasefire should there's no video of Trump talking about this. Trump didn't do any public appearances today. I'm pretty confident about that. I would have seen something. Only Vance made the interview to Fox News. I don't really see any other Trump cabinet members doing interviews at all.
If this, in fact, effectively sets back the program and doesn't lead to wider escalation, the president seems to have accomplished all the objectives that he set out to achieve.
Of course. I told you yesterday I didn't think we were at war and that this represented a de-escalation of the situation. And that's exactly where we are with this flaccid Iranian response. In the words of the great boxer Roberto Duran, no mas, no mas. That's what Iran is saying.
It's funny how they won't have Jennings on with like a panel of 5 people now because it's such a huge victory for Trump. Like, I want to see what the liberal COPE response is to this, but we're not going to hear it here.
After Israel has degraded their military capabilities and the president of the United States has taken away their ability to make nuclear weapons. This is capitulation, in my opinion, from Iran today. And it is a complete and total vindication of the Trump strategy, which was to let Israel beat these guys to a pulp. We show up and take away their nukes. Yes, let's have a deal now. I think it'd be great to have a deal with Iran about right now. This is not an escalation. This is a de-escalation.
Well, Trump promised escalation.
This is not
Trump.
That was from before. Mike, I appreciate it. If this is the end, third shortest war in history, 12-day war. Mad Frog, did you see Metcalf update? No fight happened. Yeah, there's a shocker. The Austin Metcalf situation. Yeah, I heard about that. How about that kid getting out? Getting a bunch of money and getting out? Really? After stabbing another kid in the heart? That's an insane story, man. I mean, liberals, you know, they were going so crazy about Trump starting this war. And I mean, what is the response now? Kino or Moon for BO1? Moon is better. I mean, Kino is just, you know, it's a classic. Kino's a classic. But I like Moon better. Yeah, after everything Alex said, he's... Congratulations, world. It's time for peace. This is great. I mean, it really is. Let's hope it holds, but it's definitely de-escalation. Trump knows there's not going to be any type of long-term Middle Eastern conflict. What will be the pre-planned cope if Israel breaks a ceasefire or false flag? I mean, I'm not going to... I don't know what you want... No, I don't think it's going to happen. Imagine Israel breaks it in a day. But then what would Trump do? I mean, you'd think there'd be a catalyst, but aren't we in the same position we were just in like 2 weeks ago? I guess now Iran doesn't have all of their nuclear capability, so you got that out. They might say Trump started or Trump shouldn't have striked. Well, the only angle is like, you know, he did it for Israel, but I don't think liberals would really say that. I really don't know what they would say. I think they'll say the ceasefire is not going to hold. Or it shouldn't have happened yeah, it shouldn't have happened anyways, they'll say, you know. Super anti-Israel grifters like Sneeko, Bolzarian, and Gaines are so annoying. Well, yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, you know, they're obviously very biased. So when you're very biased like that, it's, you know, but that has become a grift, that movement. Yeah, I mean, let's just hope it holds. Let's just hope it holds. The nuclear deal is up. They don't have a nuclear program. It's a bit of a problem. No, I mean, they still have enriched uranium. Does it include the proxies? I don't think the proxies are going to do anything anyways. Although, I don't know. I would imagine not. Alright, guys. That's going to do it for this live stream. I'm going to end it there. Then another solid 3-hour live stream. Yeah, I've been doing longer streams. I mean, we'll see what comes of this. It might, you know, the views might simmer down a little bit for me. You know, and this is a good thing. I mean, it's a good that it's over, but you never know in terms of the ceasefire and possibly breaking. We'll have to see. There's a crybaby in the chat with a Russian name claim. Yeah, oh, that dude? Yeah. Claiming it didn't set back Iran's nuclear stuff. Well, I mean, their nuclear infrastructure was destroyed. It obviously set them back to a degree. Now, they still have the enrichment, so that's the next question. I agree, they still have 60% enrichment. But can they really enrich it to a level now without I mean, they might have secret bases, we don't know, but I'm sure they do. Your super chat hasn't expired yet. Yeah, there's your I see your super chat still there. Iran saying there are no ceasefire. No, there is a ceasefire, Lotus. There's a ceasefire. We want your resources. We love you. Hand in your lithium and your uranium. Yeah, they destroyed all their nuclear facilities. All right, I'll see you guys.